Hi everyone, this is Diane. Today I am going to show you these finished journals that I made. They are Christmas journals. They were both made with vintage sewing patterns on the cover, and they have a retro theme. So you may have seen some of the videos that I have done as I created these journals, some craft with me videos, and now they're done. I may have to add a little bit like some of these twines to some tags or something, but I think they're pretty much done. So we'll just go through them. I used just a hardcover plain book for both of them, and just Mod Podged a vintage pattern cover, and I want to make sure you see that there are some little wrinkles in the paper where I Mod Podged it. In case you don't like that, I just want you to know that it's there. I don't mind it. I actually like it. And then I took this white elastic and made a knot and just slip it on and off to hold it closed. So it's well, I didn't do the measurements. I know the spine is 2 inches and it's 5 1/4 by about 8 1/2, and they're both pretty much the same size. So this is an old Butterick pattern, and I just thought these little girls in their red and white dresses or pajamas, and especially her holding the little candle, it just made me think of Christmas. And it made me think of my childhood Christmas. There were 6 of us. I had 5 siblings, and there were 3 girls and 2 boys. But we lined up. We had to get dressed. We couldn't stay in our pajamas on Christmas morning. That was the thing. But we would line up on the steps. So we had a staircase in our old country farmhouse, and it had a door. It was not an open staircase. It was enclosed. It had a door at the bottom. So we couldn't see anything. But we would line up, oldest to youngest, on the steps until our parents would open the door and say, "Come on down." So that's what they remind me of, all lined up. But also their pajamas. It makes me think of our Christmas Eve when we would get new pajamas, and usually my mother would make, at least the girls, but she made pajamas for the boys too. But we would get nightgowns, and we would open them on Christmas Eve and get to wear them to bed. And I continued that tradition with my children, and they continue it with theirs. So I determined that these 4 girls, I don't know who she is, she's a friend, but these 4 are me and my sisters. I was the bookworm, and I was the oldest. And my Annette had short dark hair when she was young. She wears it longer now. And this is Barbara. And then the littlest one, she was 10 years younger than me, so looks about right. And so she unfortunately passed away about 5 years ago, but that's what these represent. So that was a long introduction to this journal. But I Mod Podged it on and then added some fabric and some gold rickrack and just some embellishments here. This is another piece of fabric. I just cut it with pinking shears in a circle and glued that on. It came from a piece of scrapbook paper. Added some pom-poms here. More rickrack. And I like this plaid fabric that I put on the spine. It does remind me of retro 50s, 60s. I grew up in the 60s. And I put some gold around the edges. So on the inside, the fabric wraps around to the spine, and there's heavy chipboard and Tyvek underneath the fabric, so it's a good sturdy spine. Added some scrapbook paper and then a vintage gift tag that you can write your name on and the year that it represents, that this journal will represent. Now I put some vintage bells on the lace at the beginning of each signature. So these bells are vintage, and I used vintage pins to hold them on. So they're button pins. They came on this card. I just got this recently. Oh. And this is really cool. It's got even a metal thing that holds them on the card. And it has a loop, a little loopy thing that the button would fit into. So you just pin your button on instead of sewing it on. So I used some of those to attach the bells on both journals. Alright, so then I used cardstock, Christmas cardstock from Hobby Lobby. I had several sets of it. That's one of them. And I did use a digital set from Just Digital Papers on Etsy, and I will link the kit below. So here's an eyelet, a vintage eyelet that had the beading through it, the holes. I think they call it beading, where they leave the holes open, and I've threaded this red ribbon through there. And then on this side I added this journaling piece that came with the digital kit. Another digital kit that I used were these little, well, I actually got two of them. One had little girls and one had ladies, and they're all retro. And they're from Allegra Digital, I think it's called, so I will link those kits below also. Just some green ledger paper. Here's one of the Just Digital Papers pages. This is paper that I dyed with Rit dye, and I stamped. And the stamping went through, so I covered part of it with this vintage gift tag and just tucked a couple of tags that were cut from scrapbook paper. And up here I covered up the bleed through with washi tape and a 1958 Christmas seal. Piece of Hallmark stationery, or American Greetings stationery. It's vintage. I don't know how old. A vintage children's Christmas Carol book. And I had a bunch of these really pretty embellishment pieces that I had gotten in a Happy Mail, so I was able to use some of them in different ways in the book. Here's like a doily, but it doesn't have the holes. It's printed with the red and green snowflakes, and it just looked retro to me, that design, so I put that in here. And I made a fabric flip, and then underneath it is a list page that says my never-ending Christmas list. This paper has those really cute retro Santas on it. And I used a piece of metallic cardstock, punched an edge punch at the top, put some white cardstock behind just the top part, made a pocket. I wanted to have a more impactful way to use these beautiful Christmas seals from 1958, so I just glued a bunch of them. Just kept them all together instead of using them individually. This is from one of the paper pads, wish list. I just had to trim the bottom off a little bit. And a Norman Rockwell invitation. The mailman with Christmas packages and cards, and the children are chasing him. So it's an invitation to a holiday party. This is a computer stationery piece. Vintage wrapping paper, very retro looking. A guest book page. This is the Just Digital Papers. So I can't remember the name of it, but I will link the kit below. She has a lot of beautiful digitals, and I just love the way this candy cane paper is. It looks like it was layered, and then there's room to write. And I have these in my, I think they're from Nostalgia Graphic Land, but I can't remember. But these ledger papers, I use them a lot on the backs of digitals. This is from a little Christmas Carol book, Away in a Manger, some other Christmas carols. And I put this lace on the edge there. And up here I just added some squares of Christmas fabric. Just a little cluster here. On this page we have this little pocket, and I did do a video, not this one but the one in the other book. I did make a video of making this. I embossed the bells and then sewed on these vintage sequins. And I used a tiny Tim Holtz. Oh, and you can open it up and write here. And it's stiff because it's a cardstock piece. instead of just thin paper. So I just put a little, one of those tiny Tim Holtz paper clips to kind of help hold that down. But don't forget to take it off so you can write on that. Here's another digital that I got last year, I think, and I don't know if it's KB and Friends, but it's from somebody. And this is a little bridge tally. I had made this Santa Claus with my Cricut probably last year. This is the other piece, the other side of that plain set of stationery. So I just added some vintage stamps, one of the seals, and then punched out a scallop with metallic paper. This is just a little cut-off piece. Just made a little side embellishment there, stamped an ice skate. Here is a really cute old Christmas card, and it's dated 1949. It says, when I see you, I will give you something. Tell your mama and daddy to come up. So it's from Grandmother Northrop. And it says, I want to see you. Aw. I hope that he got to go visit her soon after Christmas. That's another fussy cut page. And then I have this bias tape that has little Santas on it. So I put that on the edge of the page here. A little retro girl feeding the bird. And then we did this pocket on one of my videos also. It's just a library pocket, a purchased library pocket, and I just decorated it. And then I put, it was a Tag Tuesday, because I made these tags with my Cricut, but you could just cut a long narrow piece and round the corners, or just cut them into a tag shape, whatever you want to do. But I just made those, put them in there, and then you can write whatever you want to, your favorite Christmas movies, Christmas songs, Christmas treats, memories, your wish list, whatever you want to write on those. And I have a vintage card in here. And on the back, I wanted a pocket, but I didn't want to cover too much of this pretty paper, so I used a glassine bag and added, this is another one of those elements that I got in the Happy Mail. And I added a really pretty pale pink lace or trim, because there's pink on this page and this pretty lace. It just sets off that pocket very nicely. And this is part of the digital kit. So the second signature has more scrapbook paper, and we have a red bell here, and some of the red is wearing off. These were still attached to their card. It's kind of dark in here. So they weren't used, but you can still see some of the silver. So, because these are vintage bells. And I just took a scrap of cardstock and made an angled pocket with a vintage gift tag. Another Christmas telegram. Love them. These are either from K and May or KB and Company, I believe, the telegrams. And, oh, I thought this was a card, but it's a postcard. Isn't that adorable? Very stylized looking and mid-century looking, so I thought it was perfect to put in this journal. This is part of the envelope where the 1958 Christmas seals came, what they came in. It was a long envelope, so I just cut it and glued it here. And it is a double tuck. I put a Christmas sticker on there. And these are both digitals that came with this kit that I'm using. So I left it open behind, and then there's the envelope itself. More of that pretty digital paper. Lots of space for writing. It's just beautifully designed. This is from a different Christmas book, music book. You'll see the cover of it. That cover might have made it into the other journal. Pretty little girl. That's from a different digital that I got a couple years ago. So I just had some leftover pieces from other digitals cut out and saved. Fabric cluster there. Now this pocket, I don't think I did this on a video. I cut this beautiful ornament piece out with my Big Shot and red metallic paper and silver metallic paper for the little toppers, and just glued that to that piece of cardstock. This is a scrapbook piece, and this is a vintage Christmas card. A different vintage Christmas paper in this book. I stamped a reindeer here, and I love this card. I think each of these journals has 6 vintage cards, because I put one in a pocket and clipped one to a page in each signature, I think. I love this little deer. And it opens up, so there's plenty of journaling space. This is music transcript paper that I dyed with yellow dye. There's that Santa Claus bias tape. And here's another tag that we did on Tag Tuesday. This is a tag made out of cardstock, patterned cardstock, and then I added this pocket, some gold rickrack, and I tucked this. So these are ones that I need to add some of the fibers to. And I tucked this in. It is a Christmas card, but it's made to look like it's an insurance policy, so it's pretty cute. Opens up, lots of writing space, but I just think it's adorable. Well, maybe it is from an insurance company. It's a Christmas card from the insurance company. Oh, that's cool. Something unique. And we did this pocket in a video. And it's got a vintage photo of a little girl in her living room at Christmas time. And this is part of the digital kit. The digital kit has papers. I didn't print them. I printed a few. I'm not seeing any of the scraps I was going to show you. Yeah, I don't see it right here, but I'll try to point it out. I printed all of these kind of pages, and then there were some like all over prints, so they weren't specifically made to be journal pages. And I printed a couple and used them for making ephemera and stuff, so I'll point that out if I see one. I made this pocket with one of those ephemera pieces that came in the Happy Mail. There's a little stamp there. And this one has a silver bell, so we have gold and red and silver bells on the edges. Here's another list sheet, and this one actually came off of a pad. It's really cute. And this is part of the digital. And this is a vintage little card. I love these little cards. I got them this year at the flea market, a little bundle of them with different designs, and I absolutely love them. This is a cutoff piece from a scrapbook paper, and this is part of the digital. I was trying to think if I was saying that right. It is part of it was a 12 by 12 paper. Stamped some candy on this page. And again, I just covered up where the stamping bled through. Did some stamping here. It says Merry Christmas. And this is the third type of vintage wrapping paper I used in these journals. I liked the plaids and the ornament prints for the retro look. And there is a plaid bias tape up there. This is cut from scrapbook paper. It says Christmas gifts, who, and ideas. So you can make a list of ideas. Or if it was my journal, I would probably write who it was and what I ended up buying them for memory's sake. This is a studio card, a photo. It's sturdy. It's not as sturdy as a, what do you call it, cabinet card, but it's sturdier than the photos that you put in photo albums. It's a little girl, and it says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year over here. So I just trimmed off the edge and made it a little pocket. I'll have to add some of the trim, you know, the cord to that. I love that little retro image that's from the digital. This page has lines on it. This page, it didn't print right. It pulled out 2 pages at once and only printed on this part of this one. So this is one of those full design pages that I was mentioning. So I just glued a piece of it here. And this is the cover of the little Christmas Carol book. Very retro looking. Did not have a date on it. I would guess 60s from that image. It's from a bank. What does this say? For a singing heart and a contented mind. Somebody scribbled that singing heart part out. And this is another one of the full printed pages. So they are, well, maybe they're printed portrait. I can't remember if it was portrait or landscape, but because I'm just using portions of it, I was able to orient it the way I wanted. And here is another flip. Oh, I have to put paper on that. Okay, so that's something else I have to do here. And I love the way this stamp turned out. I just colored, it was a clear acrylic stamp, and a polymer. I colored it with a marker, green and then brown, and it gives it a watercolory look. And then these I embossed with silver embossing powder. No, I don't know where the paper clip is, but I have to go back and put some paper on there for writing. And I'll probably put some cord in that also. Aren't they cute? These tags are just so adorable in this kit. Some more squares of Christmas paper, and there's a pretty lamppost stamped there, decorated for Christmas. Tin soldier, or a wooden soldier, I mean. And another adorable Christmas card from Aunt Grace and Uncle Fred. This paper, I didn't dye that one. I bought this one. I think I bought the red one too, because my red looks a little more orange. But somebody hand dyed them. There's another one of those double pockets. This is one of the fussy cuts. I stamped a Christmas, it's lyrics to Silent Night in the background. And this beautiful card is tucked in there. There may be more than 6 Christmas cards in this book. And here is the last pocket with the Christmas photo and a fussy cut, a couple of digitals. And in the back pocket, I used the scrap of the cut-off piece of this because I love it. And I tucked in this Christmas recipe card, party cheese ball. And this, I don't know how old this Santa is. It's from a bank, has a hole where you could put some string in it and tie it from hanging on a tree. But it's for a Christmas club, which I'm pretty sure they don't do anymore. And so I put my signature on the back of him. I love this journal. I don't think I told you I'm calling it Christmas Eve because of the girls in their Christmas nightgowns on Christmas Eve. I should also tell you that these journals are in my shop when the video goes up. This one I'm calling Christmas Party because these ladies look like they're dressed up to go to a party in the 1960s. And I put some silver paint around the edge and some silver trim here and some really pretty millinery flowers here. This pink and green and black poinsettia fabric. I would not have thought that I would use black thread for sewing in signatures on 2 Christmas journals, but I did because of the fabrics that I used. And it has the same sort of tie holding it closed. So this one looks more elegant on the outside, and including the lace and the trims and the flowers, but the inside is retro just like the other one. It has more retro ladies than retro little girls as far as fussy cuts, but they look very similar. A vintage gift tag there to write your name. For this one, I embossed the pocket here. Put a retro gift tag there. And this is a retro piece of stationery. Look at that. It's so cute. I tell you, I hate giving away some of this stuff, but there's no reason for me to keep it. I love this. This is a perfect place to write in a Christmas journal. Oh, I think I have to add some more glue there. And again, they have the bells with those button pins. This is another journaling piece that came with the Just Digital Papers Christmas kit that I used. Some graph paper. There's one of the retro ladies that I fussy cut. And I used the same digital kit but different pages, so I split the pages up between these two journals, and this is one of them. I used the same stamps in both books. This is a fussy cut of a Christmas milk bottle cap. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from your dairyman. This one has silver doilies instead of those other ones. This is from a vintage tablecloth. And this piece of stationery was hand done, and they were put together and sold in a set. And I got the set at a flea market recently. So it has some things cut out. So this candle, the red is cut out, the rest is drawn on. And this is typed, not even A. And then there's a little bit of green or gray lace, like a little piece of tatting glued on there. And his ears are it's a piece of floss, but the tail is, no, the tail is thread too. Interesting. Somebody put a lot of work into that. This is the other page of ledger that I printed on the back, where it pulled out and printed this much on the other page, and so this much was blank on this one, because it pulled them both out together, but they were staggered. So I just filled in with that. This is the one we did on camera. I did put the paper on the inside. So I couldn't find the small bell, but of course after I did that video I found the small bell, but I used the evergreen boughs instead. And another one of those adorable little cards that I got in that bundle. This is a piece of gift wrap that I glued onto cardstock. I love this little Christmas card. This paper I did dye, so maybe I did dye the other one. I don't remember. I think I did. This one I did because it's lined paper. This one is a little house with all these little animals, toys, I think, peeking out. Look at the font on that. It's adorable. This is one of the journaling spots that came with the kit. I've glued it on as a pocket and tucked this in. This would have been a money holder to give as a gift. So beautiful. And the blues went well. I think all of these decorative elements go well together and look very retro. It's another one of the library pockets with the little tags. This is a vintage coaster, paper coaster, so it's got the like a napkin layer, so that's what I glued on there. And this adorable Christmas card, I think it opens. Yep. Another photo pocket and a couple of cards to journal on. Instead of using the eyelet, which I thought went really well with the little girls in their pajamas, I used more elegant looking lace because you see it with this picture, so I thought this was more appropriate. This is a scrapbook page with a beautiful winter scene in the houses. Naughty and nice. I had this element left over. It's part of the digital, and I had to use it somewhere. And I liked it here, so I glued it down there. This is such a pretty, pretty page. Did some stamping on this dyed music paper. So here's another of the handmade papers. It's got the glued on candle and the rest is all drawn. Some nutcrackers on that fabric. This is scrapbook paper. Love that retro deer. It's got his antlers all decorated. This is the cover of that music book that I mentioned. This looks like it, the photo looks like it's from the 60s also. There was a lot of foxing on the inside, and I put this little piece from the digital set. I reinforced it because the staples had made kind of a big hole in it, so I just put a scrap of the dyed paper in there. Just a scrap of, let's punch that. It's around the corners. Just a scrap of that ledger scrapbook paper. That looks better. And the back was very messy looking, the back cover. It had a lot of foxing and stains on it, so this was a 6x6 paper that I had, and I loved the scene on it. And some more of that paper. Like the frames there, you could put some photos in there. So I had 2 of these scrapbook paper sheets, and the cutoff pieces went a long way, as you can tell. This opens up all the way. And in this signature, there's a poinsettia doily. Another Christmas card. A Santa bias tape. Guess I'll have to put something back there. This kit is just so pretty. Again, I didn't want to cover the scenic paper, so this is the page that I put the vellum or glassine pocket on. I won't pull all of these out. It's got that gingerbread list paper, more embossed cardstock, and an embellishment piece. This is one of the little greeting cards that I love, and a digital tag. Pretty lace that I just got recently at a flea market. And the last handmade paper has the hand-drawn foliage, and then these little flowers are, that's thread. Look at that. It's not sewn through the paper, so I am not sure how they constructed it. I can tell it's stiff, so it's got glue. But how did they make it? I don't know. And I would not want to make it. I am sure of that. It's another of those Christmas gift pages. This is a pocket that came with the kit. And I just stuck a photo in here. And I'll have to put baker's twine in there. And there's another of the printed all over pages. Another flip open pocket. Let me make sure it's got the paper in there. It does. I love this digital. Naughty or nice, it says there. Christmas card. So I used a lot of the little fussy cut people. This opens up. Somebody, maybe Shelley, scribbled, and then her mom wrote her real name. To a dear, wrote it legibly. To a dear auntie at Christmas. And there's another photo. Looks like Grandma standing there and this small child looking at all the wondrous things under that tree. And in here, I decorated this pocket with a couple of digital images and tucked in another Christmas recipe card for jeweled fruitcake miniatures and another tag that I made. That has my signature. So all I have to do is add the paper to that one little flip open pocket and then add some baker's twine, and these are good to go. So we have Christmas party and Christmas Eve in my shop when this video is on my channel. And the shop is linked below, the digital kits are linked below, and you can click on any of those to be taken to where you can purchase the journals or the digital kits. Thank you so much for watching, and also be watching for journal supplies. I am not going to be making many more Christmas journals this year. I might make a couple more using this paper that I got in a Happy Mail. It is Stamperia Christmas Patchwork, or Patchwork Christmas 8x8, so I might make a couple of journals with those, and then I'm going to sell most of the rest of my supplies. I'm working on putting them into bundles to sell, and that includes some antique postcards and vintage Christmas cards and lots of other supplies that I have. A couple of book covers will be included in some of it. So be watching for that. Thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next video. Have a creative day today. Bye bye.